Hey there and welcome back. This week I'm showing you how to make razor clam linguini. Now generally we love making our razor clams into fried clams or clam fritters, but this is just another recipe that you can try with the razor clams in the freezer. Before we head on over to the stove and get cooking, let's take a look at me digging these clams up. You know how they're called razor clams? When you're digging deep like this and you're feeling around for that shell, boy, it can be sharp. So here we go, we got another. Another nice one. This is what we call a mossy back. And if you've got them by the neck, pull slow so you'll pull their neck off. Look at that, woo! Good job, Bubby. Good last one. We're back from the beach and now I'm gonna clean up my clams. I have a special little way that I do it that makes cleaning clams so much easier, and I'll show that to you now. So I have all my clams in the sink and I do up a pitcher of hot water in my teapot, and then I just pour them all over the clams. Now what this does is it gets them to kind of release from the shell. There's a sort of glue that glues the clam into the side of the shell, and hot water like this pops that right off, and it makes it so much easier to clean them. Now I don't let them sit in the hot water because I don't want them to cook and get tough, but I do want them to kind of pop away like they've done here. So, for example, this guy popped right open, and you can see that kind of glue that's pulled away from the clam, and you can just kind of run your finger along the side of the shell now and they'll come right out just like that. Easy peasy. So now with a clam removed from the shell, the first thing I do is cut away the neck, the tip of the neck. And then I come up the side, I call it the zipper, right on up into the siphon, out the other side. There's a second chamber of the siphon. I go ahead and cut right up that too. And now we're nice and opened up. This part is the foot or the digger, and I just kind of hold that away and I cut around it. It falls off, and what I'm left with is some guts. So carefully just kind of snip those away, leaving a lot of my clam. This white piece is the steak of the clam. I definitely want that, and I'm gonna leave that intact. So that falls away, and all I have left is a little bit of like guts and a little bit of sand. And so I'm just gonna take a little bit of water, rinse it off, pull away some of the guts, really get into the zipper area and kind of move that around and get the sand rinsed out of it. You'll be glad that you did that. It keeps from having crunchy clams, and who likes crunchy clams? No one. Rinse all of that out, pull the rest of the guts. And what you have left is a nice clean clam. And I set that in a bowl and set it aside, and then I'm gonna move on to cooking them. And now to clean the digger. So I push the bottom shear of my scissors into the fattiest part of the digger opposite the foot, and I cut up the digger towards the foot. Kind of filleting it out. Now it exposes all of the guts, and the best way to clean this out is to get a little bit of running water and just massage your thumb and get all of those guts out. Now you can go as intense or as easy as you want with this. I usually just kind of get all of the dark stuff out, but some of this part of the digger I find totally delicious and it's great to eat. So I just get it to about that point and move on. The ingredients that you need for the razor clam linguini is some linguini, a little bit of salt and pepper, about a 1/4 cup of shallots, a 1/2 cup of wine, a teaspoon of red pepper flake, a 1/2 cup of chicken or vegetable stock, 3 tablespoons of butter, about 4 cloves of garlic, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of parsley, a 1/2 cup of Parmesan. Keep some of the clam juice out of your clams or buy some razor clam juice. And of course, about 3/4 to a cup of clams. I went ahead and chopped these up in a food processor before we got started. So now in my other pan, I'm gonna go ahead and add the butter. And then I'm gonna add my garlic. My shallot. And finally, some red pepper flakes. And I'm gonna saute this for just a few minutes, maybe like 3 minutes. All right, now that these are sauteed, the next thing I'm going to do is add the wine. Now I'm gonna add this and let it cook down almost all the way. So it should take a few minutes, not too long, maybe 3 or 4 minutes again. But I want this to kind of cook all the way down. That way we have a really nice wine flavor in with our garlic and our shallots, but it's not, too intense. And we want a lot of the stock to be based out of the chicken stock and the clam juice and not necessarily the wine. So for this part, I'm gonna bump the heat up just a bit, just to medium. I had it on medium-low, but medium's gonna help this kind of simmer and cook down a little bit, and it already smells amazing with wine and garlic together. All right, now that the wine is starting to cook down, I'm gonna go ahead and add my chicken stock in and my clam juice. Now, once this comes to temperature and starts simmering a little bit, I'm gonna add my last couple of ingredients. That's gonna be the Parmesan and the clams. It's only gonna cook for a minute or two, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add in the fettuccine, and our dish is nearly done. So I'm just gonna wait for that to simmer. Now that this is hot and simmering, I'm going to finally add in my razor clams. Add those in, and then I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna let them simmer together for just a moment or two. Now the key here, and anytime you cook razor clams, the key is to not overcook the clams. Whether you're making fritters, especially razor clam steaks, overcooking them makes them tough and chewy. You really don't need to cook them, super thoroughly to the point where they're tough. Just a few moments under heat and those are going to be good to go. All right, and finally we can add the Parmesan. So I'm just gonna coat the Parmesan all over my clams and my base mixture here. And I'm just gonna get this to the point where it's melted. It's really not gonna take a lot of time here because our sauce is so hot. And then I'm going to add our fettuccine. Okay, the mixture is all hot. I have my fettuccine. Last step is to just add it all in. And I'm gonna let this kind of cook down, mix it all up with my sauce, and then we'll top with salt, pepper, and parsley, and we'll be ready to try it. All right, I'm gonna add my salt and pepper. And my parsley. Okay, I think it's time to dish it up and try it. Okay, we are all finished. I have my razor clam fettuccine all made up, and it's finally time to taste it. I'm gonna get a little bite with some clam in here. Oh, it's so good. It's like the best seafood fettuccine you've ever had, but better because it's with razor clams. A little bit of spice, a little bit of saltiness, and that delicious Parmesan and garlic. This is definitely a winner and a great way to enjoy razor clams in a way that's a little bit different, that's not fried or fritter or the typical way that we enjoy them. Highly recommend some razor clam fettuccine. I hope you give it a try, and thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week.